Hi, my name's Emily. I'm a certified RV repair tech. If you have a Dometic water heater on an RV and it's currently not working, I don't care if it won't turn on at all, it's turning on and acting kind of funky. If it's doing anything you don't want it to be doing, you found the right video. I'm gonna walk you through step by step how to test every part of this water heater like a pro. If you don't know me, hi, hello, my name is Emily. I'm a certified RV repair tech who likes giving you the tips and tricks that most techs don't want you to know. To test your water heater today, all you're gonna need is like a $20 multimeter from Harbor Freight. If you have something fancier, that's totally great, but honestly, a good cheapo meter is gonna get you through this whole video today. If you already know how to use a multimeter, skip to this part in the video. If you've never touched one of these before, don't worry, here's a quick overview. Electricity doesn't have to be scary, and this multimeter doesn't have to be overwhelming. Don't get scared by all the different tests in here. We're really gonna be only using two for the most part today. Electricity just likes to travel in a big circle. Starts at one point, goes on a long journey, comes back to the same point. Just like Bob the electron here. All we're gonna be doing today is following Bob on his journey. We're gonna see where he stops. If at any point he goes into something and doesn't come out, that part is most likely our problem. Bob the electron's just going on a journey like Little Red Riding Hood, going over a river and through the woods to grandmother's house. If at any point Bob the electron goes into the woods, for instance, and doesn't come out, then we know that the woods is most likely our problem. We wouldn't need to keep testing things in the river or even go look at grandma's house because we know that the problem was in the woods. We can make the woods easier to get through. We could take the woods out entirely, but we know because Bob went into the woods and didn't come out, the woods is gonna be our culprit. This way of thinking and troubleshooting really helps narrow down problems fast. You don't need to worry about, could it be any of the 17 other things? Because we worked methodically and we know it's here, it's in the woods. What does this look like in real life? How do we find Bob and see where he's at in his journey? Well, we use today the DC volts test. You're just gonna look for a section on your multimeter that has a V and a straight line next to it. That's gonna be our DC volts test. And if you got a cheap meter like this, you're gonna set it to the 20 setting in that section. And that's it. That's all you gotta do. You're ready to find Bob. You're just gonna use your probes to poke around the circuit. If at any point we see voltage go into something and not come out, that part is most likely our problem. Just like the woods in our Little Red Riding Hood metaphor. You'll see what that looks like in real life in just a second. The only other test you need to know how to set up on this meter is gonna be the continuity test. You're gonna be looking for a section that has this little audio symbol on it. The reason why it has that is because when your probes touch something that electricity can move through, the meter makes a beeping noise. This can be really helpful to double check our work. So once we find something that electricity can't move through, we're going to use that continuity test to double check. Let's say we use the voltage test to find out that Bob went into the woods but didn't come out. We could then use the continuity test to double check and see, hey, can electricity move through the woods or is it broken for whatever reason? So remember, we're gonna use the voltage test to work our way methodically through the circuit to see where Bob goes in and see where he comes out. At whatever point, if we find a place where Bob goes in and doesn't come out, then we'll use the continuity test to double check and find out why. Let's go see this in action. Ugh, getting too old for this. So here we are at our Dometic water heater. You know it's a Dometic if it has a black back to it. If your water heater has a silver back, that means that it is a Suburban, and this is not the video for you. Go check out a different one I have on my channel. To get started testing, the first thing you're gonna do is take your multimeter, set it to DC volts, just like I showed you. And then you're gonna take your black probe, you're gonna put it on this screw right here. That's gonna be our ground. That's gonna be what we measure off of for the rest of testing. And then we're just gonna work our way methodically through the circuit, see where electricity goes in, and find out where it doesn't come out. The first place that you should see electricity is coming down this brown wire, coming out of the top, and going into the T-stat. This is the power coming into the water heater. So with our multimeter set to DC volts, we're gonna put black probe on that screw, red probe on the T-stat, and you should see something in the realm of 12 volts. If you don't see 12 volts, then we don't need to test any other part of the water heater because we know power isn't even making it to the water heater, okay? Don't need to test the gas valves, don't need to test the circuit board. If power's not even making it to the water heater to begin with, we don't need to worry about testing any of those other things. If this is the case for you, I go check your batteries, I go check your fuses inside, and I double check that your water heater is actually turned on. But if you have power coming into the T-stat, the next thing we're gonna look for is power coming out of the T-stat. So we're just gonna move our probe from one side of the T-stat to the other. You should still see something in the realm of 12 volts. If you do not see 12 volts coming out of the T-stat, that means that power went in, but it didn't come out. So that means that the T-stat is most likely our problem. Here's where that continuity test is going to come in so we can double check our work. All you're going to do to double check this is very carefully disconnect the two terminals heading into the T-stat. When you go to do this, take your finger and support your little T-stat right in the middle, and then use some needle nose pliers to very carefully wiggle those terminals off. There is a spring behind the T-stat, and so if you just start yanking on them, that spring can pull forward and then snap back, and we can just break things that weren't already broken to begin with. So support your T-stat as much as my family did when I started my own one-woman repair business. Hi, Mom. Once the terminals are removed from your T-stat, you're then going to set your meter to continuity and just put one probe on each side of the T-stat. If your meter beeps, that means that your T-stat has continuity and it's fine. If your meter does not beep, that means your T-stat does not have continuity and it is not good, and it's most likely your problem. Switch that bad boy out and you should be good to go. But if your T-stat is looking fine, meaning power went into the T-stat and power came out, then the next thing that we're going to test is this part called the thermal cutoff. He's basically just a fancy fuse meant to keep things from getting too hot. Because the thermal cutoff connects directly to the T-stat, we already know that power is making it into the thermal cutoff just fine. So we're going to test for power coming out of the thermal cutoff. Again, black probe on that screw, red probe on the thermal cutoff, and you should still see something in the realm of 12 volts. If you do not see 12 volts, then the thermal cutoff is most likely your problem. Carefully disconnect him from the circuit, set your meter to continuity, and you can test him for continuity just like you would a fuse. If your meter beeps, then your thermal cutoff is good. If your meter does not beep, then your thermal cutoff is bad. Go ahead and change him out and you should be good to go. If your thermal cutoff is looking fine, then the next place we're gonna look for power is heading from this brown wire into the circuit board. It might be useful here to throw on some needle nose adapters for the probes on your multimeter. It's just gonna make it easier to get into the tiny nooks and crannies on the motherboard. Motherboard, it's a cyber chase. Circuit board. To test this, again, black probe on that screw, red probe on that brown wire, and you should see something in the realm of 12 volts. If you don't see 12 volts, check and make sure all your connections are nice and tight and nothing is wiggled out. The only thing connecting the last point that we tested to this point is a wire. So make sure that wire's not broken, make sure everything's connected fully. If you're seeing 12 volts on that brown wire, then the next place we're gonna look for power is heading out on the red wire. So again, black probe on that screw, red probe on the red wire, and you should see something in the realm of, say it with me, 12 volts. If you do not see 12 volts, then that is pointing towards a bad circuit board. But before you throw your circuit board out, take a look over it and see if it has a fuse on it somewhere. It should. Go ahead and take that fuse out and test him for continuity. If your meter beeps, then the fuse is good, and that's pointing towards a bad circuit board. If the meter doesn't beep, that means the fuse is most likely bad. Switch that fuse out and see if that solves your problem. But let's recap where we've gone so far. We've checked for power going into the T-stat, we've checked for power coming out of the T-stat, we've checked for power coming in and out of the thermal cutoff, and we've checked for power coming in on the brown wire. And then finally, we checked for power coming out on the red wire. If everything is looking good so far, the next place you're going to test for power is heading into the ECO. So again, black probe on that screw, red probe on the ECO, and you should see something in the realm of 12 volts. If you do not see 12 volts, then just check that wire that's connecting the ECO to the circuit board. Only thing connecting those 2 points is a wire, so if you had power coming out of the circuit board but not going into the ECO, you probably just have a bad connection somewhere, or that wire is broken somewhere. Use your eyeballs, take a look. From there, we just tested power going into the ECO, so you can probably guess where we're going. We're going to test for power coming out of the ECO. So black probe on that screw, red probe on the other side of the ECO. You should see something in the realm of 12 volts. If you do not see 12 volts, we can test the ECO for continuity the exact same way that we tested the T-stat. Still use your finger to support it when you're removing the terminals. If he has continuity, then he's good. If he does not have continuity, then he's bad. Switch that bad boy out and you should be good to go. My back's hurting, so we're gonna transfer over to the stairs. From here, if power has looked fine so far all the way up to this point, this is actually where for the most part, we're gonna take our multimeter, set it down, and we're instead going to use our eyes, our ears, and our nose to help us do most of the rest of troubleshooting. From here, you're just gonna listen for a click, tick, 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 whom. This is the auditory story you should be hearing as the water heater lights up the propane and actually heats up the water. The click is a solenoid opening up to let gas through. If you don't hear that click, that means that that solenoid probably isn't opening up to let propane in. The way you can test that solenoid is to head over to the last place that we tested for electricity. You should see some wires heading from there down to the gas valves. Basically the only other thing with wires that we haven't tested yet. All you're gonna do is very carefully disconnect that terminal. So just hanging out right here. And this is the only time we're gonna use another test on this meter other than the continuity and the voltage test. It's just the resistance test. It's the one with the ohm symbol. If you go ahead and set it to the 200 setting, that should be fine for what we're doing right here. You're then just gonna take one probe, doesn't matter which one, put it in that terminal we just disconnected, and then you're gonna take your other probe and just touch some metal part of the gas valve. And you should get a reading of some sort. If that reading is between this number and this number, means that your solenoid is probably fine and good to go. If you're getting a reading that is outside of that number range, then you need to look at replacing your gas valves because they're not opening up to let propane through. Going back to the click, tick, 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 tick story, if you're hearing a click but no tick, 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 then your most likely culprit is your igniter. There are two parts of the igniter that you can test. The actual igniter itself that's in that silver tube, and then the place where the igniter connects to the circuit board to actually get the voltage to do the igniting. To test how it connects to the circuit board, you're gonna want a pair of insulated needle nose pliers, and maybe a glove if you're feeling extra safe. While the water heater is on and running, you are going to very carefully, mine is not on right now, that's why I don't have gloves. But what you would do is very carefully pull back this rubber sheathing, and oh look, there's a little terminal inside. You would then use your insulated needle nose pliers and very carefully remove that bad boy from the igniter on the circuit board. You're gonna take that terminal that you just disconnected and hold it up very close to the point on the circuit board that you just disconnected it from. You should be able to see a visual spark jump from the circuit board to the terminal that you just took off. Pew, pew, pew. If you do not see that spark jumping, again, while the water heater is on and running, that means that the circuit board is not sending out the signal to the igniter to actually do the igniting. And you're most likely looking at replacing your circuit board. If you do get that spark, go ahead and reconnect everything and head down to the silver tube and start looking at the actual igniter in the silver tube. You may just need to clean off your igniter. It might have gotten too much soot, or maybe some bugs have started building up a nest or a web in there. If your igniter is looking particularly sooty, you can just go ahead and clean it off with a little emery cloth or some fine grit sandpaper. And you can also look at making sure that the gap on those prongs is the right width. It should be around 3/16 of an inch. If you are unsure, easiest way I've found to measure these things is to go grab my 3/16 Allen key and just use that as a gauge in between the two prongs to make sure they're the right width. But that solves the click and the tick, 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 tick. If you're getting both parts of that story, but you're not getting the whum, this is where we're thinking we might have a more systemic propane problem. So the first thing I might do is go check and make sure that other propane appliances in the RV are lighting. So make sure that like your stove, for instance, lights up. Go see if your fridge, for instance, is working on propane. Let's confirm that the propane is actually on. Let's go smell very carefully around that silver tube and see if it smells like propane is entering the system. If not, maybe go double check your solenoid noise. Every now and again, it's very rare, but they can fail in a way where they still click, but they don't actually open up enough to let propane through. But if you're getting power to all of the different parts that we tested today, and you're hearing a click and a tick, 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 that means that your water heater itself is doing everything electrically that it's supposed to be doing. It is sending power to all of the parts that it should be sending power to. You may need to look at adjusting this piece right here. This is where the air fuel mixture gets mixed up. If this has gotten really dirty, you might need to clean it out. And if you've greatly changed elevation, you might need to look at adjusting this just to change how much air is getting into the system so you have the right air fuel mixture in order to light. But that is my step-by-step guide on how to test every part of your Dometic water heater in your RV. I hope you found this helpful. If you would like to learn how to test every appliance in your RV like we did today, I'm talking about your air conditioner, your water heater, your furnace, and your fridge, head on over to rvrepairwoman.com/RV Academy. The link's in the description. I have a course that costs less than what most techs charge for a single call, and instead I'll walk you through basically exactly like we did today, how to test every part of every appliance in your RV. If that sounds interesting to you, check that out. And in the meantime, this has been RV Repairwoman. You got this.